go to the events, don't be hesitant and speak with people, ask questions. Don't be afraid to look stupid sometimes. Just go for it, ask questions, and this is the only way how to understand more.
You're listening to 15-Minute Mastery, a show that empowers you with insights from leading iGaming experts to enhance your personal or business performance. The show is brought to you by the AI-powered data analytics platform Blask and supported by tech-driven affiliate and media company Already Media, Lala Stars, the leading casino partnership program, and Next.io, the world's iGaming community.
Hello everyone and welcome back to 15-Minute Mastery. Today, Dmitry is in the hot seat and we're diving into a topic he is a master at. He has built teams ranging from a small handful of direct reports into teams in the hundreds. So there's a lot of value that Dima can provide today. Welcome back, Dima.
Hey, John. Nice to be here once again.
Awesome. So looking back at the most successful teams you've built in iGaming, what are the key features that have made those teams high performing? And what separates a good team from a really great team?
First of all, that's a great question. And I think it's closely tied to the organization, its size, its state. Is it a new organization? Is this like a grown-up organization, etc.? But no matter what, I think there are a few key things which you can call like a reason why these teams were successful and performing really well. So the first thing is like a clear definition of goals. So where you're going, what you're doing, how you're doing, this is all a result of clearly set up goals. And the most important thing is that your team and neither leadership or the team underneath, they should be able to understand these goals because you should be aligned. If these goals are clearly set up, but it's not like clear for the person and they don't understand what is it, then it doesn't make any sense. So this is thing number one. Thing number two is a reporting framework, in my opinion. So the way how these guys, they report to you, and like as you mentioned, running a teams of like 100 people is impossible to build in a way where you have like these 100 people reporting to you. So you really need to be able to utilize a very smart reporting framework to be able to connect the dots, to connect the people one with another, and to be able to apply this with the goals you set previously. And the one last thing is probably the feedback. And if something goes wrong, or even like someone is overperforming, you really need to be very straight with the feedback and to be able to utilize your understanding of the industry, understanding of the specific function, but to be able to drive this feedback to the person or a whole department, because without the feedback, you guys will just, keep stuck in negativity around each other. And essentially, this will just blow up. It's not going to work in a productive manner. So, and probably the last one bit is something which I call humble leadership, because a lot of people, and especially the leaders, they don't really care about people and their teams a lot. But I think where everyone is working in a very healthy and friendly environment, where the leaders are not really pushing these people too hard, and at the same time not connecting the wins towards them, but more or less adjusting this and applying on the team, and being able to appreciate every single team member. This is going to work really well. So these are the items which I would have called the reasons to building successful teams.
Yeah, there's some really great points there. And I don't know if you've heard it before, but Amazon famously has this 2 pizza rule that essentially says one team should be able to feed on 2 pizzas, otherwise it's too big. And I guess that speaks volumes about the challenges of scaling an organization, right? So what strategies have you found effective for scaling teams while maintaining or even improving their performance?
Yeah, I think this is probably one of the biggest challenges of nowadays companies, especially with remote work, especially with the fast pace of our industry, is properly scaling the team. And some of the items I mentioned before, they should be also like still applied and scaled properly. So I think the smaller the team, then the faster decision making and the communication and cooperation within the team members should work. And with that said, probably the best strategy and the best structure of the organization should be functional, where every single team member it has its own like role, which is dedicated to a certain function. If you're a marketing guy, then you just work on the marketing function and driving the results across multiple projects within your function. So this could be one side, this could be like few new ventures, few new territories inside of your organization. So the more you grow, the more kind of challenges, projects, initiatives are being stacked underneath one functional team leader. But when the organization is becoming big, when the organization might hit like a few hundred even team members, it's better start looking into so-called divisional structure, because divisional structure is a certain way how you can organize people into cross-functional organizations. So if your if your organization has a lot of products or territories or a lot of very different initiatives running inside, maybe it's the right time to look at it from the divisional point of view, where you might have a few infrastructural units which are essentially supplying the divisions. This could be tech, this could be a certain centralized function which is impossible to build and grow inside of so-called divisions. Because if you think about the operator business, for example, to be able to hire, 12 head of CRMs is a tough job to do, right? But hiring one head of CRM and centralizing the whole business around them and attaching him to like 12 divisions, then it's a much easier job to do. So I think the more organization is scaling, the more it should be leaning towards the divisional structure, which is more agile, which is allowing you to build a certain goals around division, which is not affecting the business in general. Because one division could be insanely small, like especially the one which just started from scratch, while the other one could be attributing like 90% plus of your business, then it just doesn't make any sense to keep it as one, because the other division will always suffer. So I think that's my take here.
Yeah, and that ties in nicely to the next question, because I think one of the biggest challenges that you've told me that you've faced in building teams is when you've been entering a new market, and especially a new market where the local talent doesn't have a lot of iGaming experience. So how do you approach building a very strong team in a new market where that local talent is lacking?
The answer is quite simple here, and sometimes when people asking questions like this, when just chatting with someone like ex-colleagues or something, they expect some complicated, a very nuance-driven answer, but it's very simple. First of all, you need to be able to spot a relevant talent from other niches which are very similar to yours. So if you're talking about the iGaming, this could be fintech, this could be dating, this could be telco. So there are so many niches which are very similar to iGaming, even though they don't require some like a hardcore skill set attached to like user management, like compliance, nuances, etc. So first of all, spot a talent outside of the iGaming, which is very relevant to your industry, and especially if you're talking about some niche and local, like a local heavy markets. The second thing is like education. So you need to be able to find and build a framework on how you inject these iGaming nuances into someone who just joined the industry. Sometimes for some organizations, this could be tough, especially if they started iGaming themselves like a few years back. And I had this conversation with one of my friends. So they started the iGaming business exactly 2 years ago without the iGaming expertise before. So they had to hire iGaming talent because they needed the education themselves, right? So for them, it was impossible to hire outside of the iGaming because they did not have any iGaming expertise themselves. But if you as the founder, if you as the the leader and part of, for example, C-level board, you have that expertise and you work in the industry for like 3, 5, whatever amount of years, then you'll be able to drive them and to be able to help them to get the required experience. So another thing about the education is, our podcast is one of these examples, but there are many of them which could get you to the next level of iGaming understanding. Plus, the industry reports, and there are so many other sources which you can kind of read, watch daily to be able to get up to speed with industry. I remember even when I was hiring people outside of the industry, I stick to that model, and I built like a detailed guide for them, what kind of resources they need to read, when they need to read these resources, like a welcome pack of the content they need to go through during their onboarding journey. So I think this is essential, even like if you think your organization is mature, and even if you're hiring someone from within the industry, this is not going to be like overkill to have that kind of a guide, because for these people, this will be like a great chance to, put their knowledge in the right baskets, or to be able to, find missing fragments.
As we've spoken about many times before, this is the reason we launched 15-Minute Mastery, because there was a gap in the market for iGaming education. So with that in mind, what else can the industry do better to help train its people to become higher performers in iGaming, and especially people who don't have that iGaming experience, or where you don't have 5 years for them to gain that experience?
Right. So first of all, I think the easiest one is industry reports. It's probably the biggest source of knowledge for anyone looking to understand how the world's largest companies perform and what they do to be able to drive their business. This is probably the easiest. Second is obviously, 15-Minute Master is a great source, but you got a lot of amazing podcasts in the industry. iGaming Next is a good one. Affiliate BI with John Wright is a good one. Fintan's Gambling Files is an incredible podcast. So I think podcasts, will be my number two choice, and try not to just overwhelm yourself with just listening to every episode, but try to handpick the very relevant ones with relevant people which are working in relevant markets, relevant functions or roles, etc. So try to handpick the ones which you need them the most, right? So this is number two. Number three, I think conferences and networking. Probably this is my third choice. Go to the events. Don't be hesitant and speak with people. Ask questions. Don't be afraid to look stupid sometimes. Just go for it. Ask questions, and this is the only way how to understand more. One of my favorite examples was me on the rooftop of iGaming Next event back in May, when I was chatting with Nico Chamizo, when I was really like a newbie in investments and running like a fund. I noticed that this guy's expertise was like 10 levels or even 100 levels above myself. So I started overwhelming him with, with questions, and he was friendly enough to help me. So these 30 minutes or like 1 hour conversation were probably the most incredible, in my investor journey. So don't be afraid of doing so. Don't be afraid of, seeing your industry idols and just asking them your questions. I think this will be my third choice, but probably the hardest one.
Okay, so now let's switch it up a little bit and talk about something that is essential to a high performing team, but is really difficult to maintain as the team grows, which is team culture and company culture. And one thing I've always noticed is that iGaming attracts lots of strong personalities and ambitious people. So harnessing all of those different people and creating a strong company culture might be particularly challenging in this industry. So how do you create a culture that harnesses all of those characteristics positively whilst ensuring everyone works well together?
That's a great question, to be honest. And I think it all goes to a leader, and especially talking with all the leaders right now, like, who are you as the leader? What kind of leader you are? And I mentioned this previously, like I think the humble leadership style is probably the one, which is the most scalable and the most like human appealing and the human friendly. So I think being a very humble leader who is not afraid to highlight his own mistakes, who is, always here to support someone, who is here to be able to, spend restless hours alongside with his colleagues, these generals who are, taking the weapon and going, at the forefront of the army. So these are the ones who are encouraging, the people, and these are the ones who are, helping to motivate the people and the colleagues more. So I think two examples I want to highlight here is probably, Cristiano Ronaldo as the professional, him, being a part of any team is a big problem, because this is like, one of the world's most serious talent and with a very strong ego. So those leaders and the managers and the coaches which were trying to break his ego were failing, right? You cannot work against it. You need to be able to find a way to work with it, right? So key managers like, Mourinho, Ancelotti, they were finding that way. They were, finding a way on how to break their own ego and to be able to satisfy someone else. So I think this is a good example of how you can apply like a different leadership styles from the outside of the industry and to be able to, utilize their techniques in order to find a way in how to approach your colleagues. The second one, which is probably nowadays example for me, is Max Tesla, who is the CEO at Blask, right? So the guy is like, even though he's the CEO of the company, he writes the code himself daily. He spends sleepless nights reading reports, reading scientific papers, not being afraid of, going with his colleagues, writing the code together, finding and exploring the ways on how to make the business more efficient. So this is a kind of, general example for general who's not afraid to take his own risks and to be able to grind alongside with some of his like lower level employees. So I think for me this is the way on how to build a very strong and powered by very strong leadership organizations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really love them last two examples in particular. So Dima, thanks again for sharing those insights. I wish we could pick your brain for 20 minutes more on this topic, but it's been an awesome episode and thank you for sharing.
Always welcome, John. Cheers. Bye-bye.